Lesbian Talk! The much belated Lesbian Talk!
I wonder, statistically speaking, what percentage of episodes start out with you singing that last teeny bit of the theme song?
8.
Are you sure?
I counted this. I did full statistical analysis.
Really? What statistics?
I did semiotics and other long words that have nothing to do with this.
What kind of techniques did you use?
I did all sorts of... I used Piaget.
Piaget was a behavioral psychologist. Statistical analysis can be done by anybody.
Piaget was a great help.
And actually, you really would only need to know the percentage. Like, there's no...
I said 8%.
You can't find a mean.
8%.
Somebody do the math of this.
Actually, that'll involve someone listening to every episode of Lesbian Talk, or at least the very start of each one.
I'm sure someone has.
Someone's listened to all of them probably. Hello, creature. And we've listened to all of them while we're actually recording them.
Technically, yeah.
But I would not suggest anyone sits down just to listen to the very start, and they might drive them mad.
Like,
what episode is this?
It is 100.
That is a very good number. That's a lucky number in some cultures.
That was the beginning of the Turkish one. It was the year 2000.
And that inspired directly by Army of Darkness. Glad you, Rita. Okay then. That's it.
I got the reference when I first saw Army of Darkness because I'd seen The Day the World Stood Still. And everyone was like, wait, what's that? I'm like, it's an old science fiction movie. My mother showed me.
Yeah.
Schnee, schnee, schnee.
It also was referenced in Chopping Mall by a guy who looked like Bruce Campbell. It was very weird.
Chopping Mall.
Fucking love you, Chopping Mall. Guys, if you love Chopping Mall, you gotta check out the Lamp, otherwise known as The Outing in the USA. It's basically the same plot, but you replace the robot with a murderous genie, and you replace the replace the mall with a museum. It's awesome. Speaking
of movies that are called different things over here.
Really?
Yeah, we watched something.
That sounds like a segue.
We did. I came home from work and I was so tired, so I turned to my beautiful spouse and I said the words that words that every you wants to hear. Let's just watch a movie tonight. You can pick.
Well, I didn't pick one. I was
because you picked it before and you said I haven't seen this one, and then we didn't end up watching it a different night, and I was like, well, let's watch it tonight.
Because I have a huge pile of films that I have to watch.
You have no idea, seriously.
Once I've watched them, either they'll go into my archive collection, or they'll be sold, or they'll be put in for reviewing. And so, because of the size of our place, my collection is over at my parents' house, so I put them to the side to take back. So this one looked like one of the ones that would either be reviewable or possibly hold on to. And it's just this massive, terribly animated CGI snake on the cover of the box, and it's called Snakes.
Snakes!
Now,
there's no play. Well, actually, it was a play.
Briefly, yes.
I forgot to say it.
This film, okay, the film did not indicate it was any kind of a sequel. We put the film on, and sequel was had.
Like the credit sequence, like there was an intro, and then there was a credit sequence that showed like pictures that we hadn't seen in the prologue, and we're like, what? And all of a sudden you said, I get the feeling that this is a sequel. I think this is a sequel. Like, really, yeah. I think that we're supposed to know who these people are.
Yeah, this film, it was sold as a standalone film, yet the film is constructed in such a way that it makes almost no fucking sense unless you've seen the original. And then, well, about over an hour in, you get one guy turns up who explains what happened in the first one, but, too little too late at that point.
Yeah.
But in America, the film was called Python 2, because the prequel was called Python, and it's like, that makes sense.
Python 2, Python harder.
Were they afraid that in the UK people would mistake it for a Terry Jones directed comedy starring John Cleese?
Maybe Python 1 wasn't released over here?
I don't know. Why would you release Python 2 but not Python 1? It makes...
Did you get it in the pound shop? That might explain a lot.
No, I got it secondhand at a CEX.
Oh.
But this is kind of like Star Wars 2. Curse of the Pleasure Pods, which was released on the same DVD as Actium Maximus by Troma. There is no Star Wars 1. These guys made a film called Star Worms, and they sold it to Troma, and Troma were like, I got a great idea, let's pretend this is a sequel. So then people would be all like, ooh, Star Wars 2? that means Star Wars 1 must have been good because it got a sequel. So I'm going to watch Star Wars 2 and then possibly investigate Star Wars 1, which doesn't actually exist. So this is like the Star Wars 2 Gambit, but done for real. But there is a prequel.
Writing to Trump and be like, I would like to know where I can find a copy of your classic Star Wars 1.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure someone's done that. Or at least bothered Lloyd in a convention or something.
And everyone will be like, oh, Toxie will tell you, and then he runs away. Choo.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it was not very good.
It was funny, though.
It was funny. It really was. Like, there was a part where they were in, like, an abandoned Russian missile silo. Just go with it. And, like, well, the one guy from, like, the hit squad that you're kind of like, you're like, oh, he's not like a nice guy, he's hanging off the bridge, like, oh no, and the big snake's there, oh, it's gonna get him, and he throws the dynamite pack to his boss. He's like, take care of them, and then the snake like pulls him down, but then it's a below shot where both he and the snake are falling aimlessly, and I'm like, wait a second, what was the snake perching on to get the leverage to like yomp him? Because it definitely yomped him, but then they were both falling separately, and I'm like, how did you yomp him? Because
and this film, you've got the guy who apparently was in the original one is this guy who looks like Alan Tudyk.
He does, though.
And so the main character is doing this sort of sketchy thing with these Russians, and then suddenly he's getting ripped off by these gangster guys. And then suddenly this guy who looks like Alan Tudyk wanders in
a BMW
and just hands this guy a check for the money that he's owed, and then just starts intimidating the mafia. And I was like, I want a film just where Alan Tudyk, like a superhero, drives around and saves people from, the deals that were ripped off. They were ripped off on.
This little mob don, he was like, this is in Russia, and his name is Aziz.
Yes.
But he spoke with like a really pretendy, like Quickie Mart Indian accent.
And he had like bright ginger hair.
So like,
dyed.
I don't know what.
He's foreign. We don't know what kind of foreign.
I don't know what ethnic stereotype we were supposed to take from this.
And his the way he was dressed is like he was dressed like a South Park Iranian.
He was, though.
If you ever seen the episode of South Park where it was a parody of like 300, you had a huge bunch of like Iranians all in charge of a nightclub or something. And he was dressed just like that. This guy, he was like Go-Go Agon, but you had Boris, the Indian guy pretending to be Russian.
Yeah.
He was like that, but for serious.
I think we talked about it on Lesbian Talk, where we did a vlog of Go-Go Agon. It's basically Shaun of the Dead in the Indian province? They provinces? Country?
Part of India called Goa.
Called Goa. And it's really, really great because occasionally they speak English. Like it's in whatever Indian language is spoken there.
I don't know which language it is.
But because they have a few. But occasionally there's just English. It's like seeing the movie in Tagalog. Occasionally there's English.
Yeah, like Josh, it's Turner.
Like they'd be like going on this whole big thing and come on, man, and I'm like, what? I heard English. It was really great because at one point...
They subtitled it still.
Oh, that was really great because at one point one of the characters like, do you think that they are zombies? The other character goes, zombies? Come on, we're not Americans. I thought that was funny. Zombies, first world problems. But anyway.
Although, you've seen that, but you still haven't seen Juan of the Dead, the Cuban Shaun of the Dead. It was awesome. It has a drag queen for one of the main characters.
So over zombies. I really am.
It's Juan of the Dead.
I've been over zombies for 15 years.
Yeah,
I've been over zombies since 2002.
It's a Cuban film made in Cuba, comedy parodying zombies.
I'll watch it eventually.
Me and Robin watched it. We liked it.
Well, just saying.
But yeah, Snakes is ridiculously silly. It made no sense if you haven't seen the first one. It was like going into Insidious 2. Because fucking Insidious 2. I mean, apparently Insidious 1 is good. And someone swore to me that Insidious 2, you can pick it up right away if you haven't seen Insidious 1. No, you fucking can't.
You can't, though.
And it's fucking crap.
And it relies on really bad tropes and, yeah.
Yeah, just fuck you, Insidious. I mean, I hated The Conjuring, but Insidious, you're even worse.
Are they making a sequel to Annabelle, I think, that
yes,
I heard someone saying? Annabelle 1 was not good.
That's because it's a spin-off of The Conjuring.
Yeah.
Fuck you, The Conjuring.
The only thing that was good was the set design. It really convinced me that this is a period piece.
Fuck you, The Conjuring.
Well, how good set design.
Although Conjuring 2 did give money to Bill Oddie and all, because there was brief clips of an episode of The Goonies, but it was in the wrong fucking order. They were showing bits from the same episode in the wrong order.
Was it Insidious 2 that had the kitchen that I lusted after? with the really, really nice
You lust
sink.
after kitchens all the time.
No, this was specifically that sink. This was the one where your man, because the past, he had the exorcism.
Oh, this like time traveling ghost?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was Insidious too.
Oh my god. The only good thing about Insidious 2 was their kitchen. Oh, it was beautiful. I want a sink like that. It was just the best kitchen. Anyway.
Fuck you, The Conjuring.
But yeah, snakes. Oh, no. And it was really weird because in the beginning, like, they did that thing where they had Russian actors because their names were Russian in the credits, speaking English with Russian accents, like when there was no Americans around. And I really dislike that. I'm like, just have them speak in Russian and subtitle it. I like how that's a thing now rather than like, you know, oh, these people are foreign, speaking English amongst each other with foreign accents. You know, because I don't get the feeling that people hang around speaking English if they don't have to.
See, I bought Snakes just randomly secondhand with a bunch of other films. One of which was Chain Dance, which I watched last night, which I was expecting some sort of weird crime thriller. It was Michael Ironside and Brad Dourif.
Okay.
And it was executive produced by Michael Ironside, and Michael Ironside was playing a criminal, so it was like, and you know, there's a mental hospital involved. So you're expecting something to go down. Then of course, no, Michael Ironside's a criminal, and he ends up being sent as part of his, like, a parole thing to work at a mental institution, like, as an orderly.
What?
It's in the film.
But he doesn't have any kind of training.
This was like a work release thing that they worked out with the prison. It was like some sort of a thing. But he develops this...
Well, if the state board found out about that, there are a lot of people be in trouble.
He develops this deep friendship with Brad Dourif, who is playing this guy who's heavily physically disabled but not mentally disabled. He's sort of just stuck in there. And
actually, that does sometimes happen.
So I was like, okay, I was not expecting this based on Michael Ironside and Brad Dourif in a film together. I was expecting someone's face to get eaten, especially involving mental institutions. So I was like, well done. I'm pretty sure the daughter from the Cosby Show was in there too.
Is it a drama?
Yeah.
Well, that's good.
So I was confused. Same said, I also bought a film called Shotgun. I still haven't seen it yet because it wouldn't extract my computer. So
is it a Region 1?
No, it's Region 2, but it's damaged. But it's like the last film I had a problem with that was the Burt Reynolds one, Shark, and it kept skipping, so it's probably going to be a similar deal.
It skipped throughout the whole movie, and like the movie ended like 20 minutes later. We were like, oh,
we missed the shark completely.
And we never actually ended up seeing the shark. We saw a lot of people being drunk and punching each other and like, get a hold of yourself, slapping each other in the face. No actual shark was shown at any time.
So that's an example of a problem with the DVD turning a film into an accidental art house. But Shotgun.
The shark is the shark in all of us.
So Shotgun, I haven't seen it yet, but I'm hoping there's at least a shot of a shotgun on it.
Shotgun through the heart, and you're doomed.
But the same set, the king of that box set, was Sharkman.
We haven't watched that yet.
I watched it.
Oh, that's right, you did.
I watched it.
Robin and I chose Shark. You chose Shark.
Yeah, they chose Shark. Yes, they chose Shark instead of Sharkman. I watched it myself.
So that would be like kind of like retro bad, but instead it was just the DVD is damaged bad.
I was like, Sharkman, hopefully this will be good. Starring Jeffrey Combs, and I was like,
well, that was the thing. She said you had the choice between Shark, Sharkman, and Dick Shark.
I watched Dick Shark too. That stars John Giancaspro of the Schizophrenic movies. But Jeffrey Combs is like this mad scientist.
I had gone to bed. Okay, I was laying in bed with the TV on, reading my phone in the dark. But, guys, what happened? I'm like, oh God, what has Trump done now? No, this movie, it's got Jeffrey Combs. It's like, is that all?
That's an important thing for me. But Jeffrey Combs is playing this mad scientist whose son is dying of cancer. So naturally, he does what any mad scientist would do, and he mutates his son into half hammerhead shark, half human hybrid, because, no cancer then. And then, years later, he brings his ex-wife, who doesn't know about this, and a bunch of her friends to this island to show them all his amazing breakthrough, and then to make his son eat them. And I was like, thank you, Jeffrey Combs, I need this. I tweeted out about this film, and then Jeffrey Combs himself replied to me. He goes, oh God, I'm glad you survived that piece of crap. And I was like, dude, that was awesome.
He's your best friend. You love him so
Combs
much.
is the...
You should have him on Lesbian Talk. If you're Jeffrey Combs, write the show.
Fucking love Jeffrey Combs.
We'll arrange something by Skype. It'll be grand.
But I found out the film is, in America, it's called Hammerhead, and it was actually a sci-fi original TV movie from 2005. Yeah, to me, it will always be Shark Man.
It just seems to me that whenever we go mixing DNA, human and animal DNA, it never turns out well for anybody.
Except when people get pig hearts.
Well, yeah, but that's just transplanting a thing. That's not
you got
like...
human DNA and pig DNA right beside each other.
Yes, but they don't replicate with each other. They just kind of be.
Yeah, they're there.
Like, there's stuff that they can do now that they can take... They can use... I forget what kind of barnyard animal, but they can take that stem cells from that animal and then put them onto a lattice work of, like, a bladder or a liver or a kidney or something like that. And it grows, like, the shape of it for, like, the support. And then they take your stem cells and then they seed that and they can actually grow a new viable working organ. Like, well, just the framework of it. And it's still, like, really experimental. I saw a thing about it on, it was a link off New Scientist. So, like, we're years away from actual human trials, but Jesus Christ.
I gotta say, I am a big fan of animal, genetic, fuckery, because, dude, that's how you get glow-in-the-dark cats.
Yeah, but
I want a glow-in-the-dark cat.
I mean, genetic modification is fine. I mean, in every film, whenever you start splicing human and animal DNA, it just always that's the tipping point.
I want a cat that's part jellyfish who glows in the dark, and we can call it Portuguese Man of War.
It might keep us awake in the night if it's curled up next to us sleeping.
It'll be a nightlight.
Oh, for Christ's sake, turn the cat down.
You love having the TV on at night. It'd be like a nightlight.
No, I like to fall asleep with the TV, but the TV, either I wake up and turn the TV off, or the TV turns itself off.
Then the cat will start going like sort of rub its paws on you like that, but it's not trying to knead, it's actually trying to sting you, but it's not working.
You can't see this, you might be able to hear it. She's actually like batting at me.
Yeah, because your cat jellyfish would try that.
It would lick you and like little blastocysts would sting you.
Awesome.
Terrible. No. I mean, jellyfish are awesome, but I don't want to like be friends with one.
You get a big swimming pool and the cat sort of jumps to the top and then sort of goes stretches out the cat and then sinks slowly to the bottom and then just climbs to the bottom.
Speaking of jellyfish, I think it's the Monterey Aquarium on YouTube have a pretty regular live stream where they just have their jellyfish in one of their backlit tanks with like soothing music.
We saw in Toronto.
Yeah, but except with like soothing music, so you could like full screen it while you're studying or something, and there's just jellyfish just like just flowing by while like the color changes and
like in Skyfall, the Bond film where James Bond had like a fight in front of a giant screen of jellyfish.
Yeah, but with soothing music. I think that's really awesome.
The music of Daniel Craig breaking a guy's spine is very soothing.
No. You sound like a duck. Stop it. You sound nothing like breaking spines. You sound only like a duck. Like a.
Yeah, he could have been fighting Duck.
Duck, the concept.
Yeah.
Plato's perfect duck as killed by Daniel Craig.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. So.
No, the Plato's version of Duck is the thing in Alton Towers in the flume.
No, this
is
hard.
7 foot tall.
Evil.
Okay.
No, because when you hear the ducks, it's all over for you.
Okay, Alton Towers has a very old school flume where you're in like a bathtub and you're like taken across. It's mostly sort of uphill and then sort of on
and
level.
And it's hard, and it's like this little plank of stone. It hurt my tender buttocks.
And then you go down these. You go into these buildings which are completely dark, and then they take you down into the water and stuff. Usual stuff. But at one point you get this hugely loud thing of quacking, and this 8 foot tall duck, plastic duck, not even animatronic, just sort of bursts out of water beside you and starts yelling at you really loudly.
And that's right before the huge mega drop.
And that's the one you want to fight Daniel Craig.
I want to take a moment to talk about something very serious in our society today, and that is amusement park ride rape culture. Now, a lot of you might think this is not very serious until it's you standing in the queue for a ride that you really don't want to be on, having a panic attack, and nobody will let you out of the queue. They tell you, no, it's fine, no, it's great. And you say, no, I'm saying no, I don't want to be here. I'm an adult. But they don't listen. They push right past your consent. And you are taken on a ride against your own will. That is amusement park rape culture. And it's real. It's really real. You've been a victim. Write the show.
I have no idea what you're talking
No,
about.
because I said I don't want to go. No, sure it'll be grand. No, it will not be grand. I don't want to get my shoes wet. No, it'll be grand. Not. And it wasn't grand.
In my defense, someone else suggested you sit in front. And
I didn't want to sit. I said I will hold everyone's stuff. I don't want to be involved. I don't like being wet.
And then I decided that I will sit in front.
It just makes me very tactilely. I don't like being in wet clothes. I don't like it. I think it's because once when I was little, like really, really, really small, like I just come in from like I'd come in from summer camp, and you know a lot of times stuff like you were out and about in the summer. Speaking as a girl, that you'd have like your bathing suit on and then just like a pair of shorts, and then you just run about and you just slowly dry throughout the day, and that was just life when you're a little kid in the summer. But like I think I was really small, so I must have been like 4 or 5. My mom was like, "Yo, quickly go take a shower." I'm like, "No, I'm doing the thing. I can just wear this." Mom was like, "No, if you sit in a wet bathing suit, you'll get crotch rot." I don't know what crotch rot is. My father-in-law's a GP, so one of these days I might ask him. But I don't think it's a real thing. But crotch rot. Oh God. Oh Jesus. I don't want this. So I think that like created this neurosis in me now that I don't like being in wet clothes, even though like you don't get crotch rot because it probably doesn't exist.
Well, no one wants to be as wet as we were at Canada's Wonderland.
That was because it started raining.
Well, I was soaked before that.
Yeah, that's true. Because they just got off the log flume, and then the heavens rent.
Yeah, we got off the log flume. Okay, we got off pretty lightly, wet-wise. We were okay. And then I'd mistimed, going around leaving the ride. Because you walk right past the thing, and then the next ride comes down and soaks you even worse. So if you're watching the rides arrive, you get soaked worse than if you're in the boat.
Yeah, a lot of people are just going up on the bridge to get wet.
So I was like wandering, I had no idea this was coming this late. Nearly got knocked off my feet. So I was already soaked before the fucking rain started.
And then, it started just as they were getting off the ride. And you know how it can be in North America, Saturday, or like a late afternoon thunderstorm. And it poured for, I thought I would say close to an hour. Very heavy, like torrential kind of rains, like enough. If that rain was like, I think, as much rain as Derry got in like, a month, but in like an hour. And it flooded quite badly, so we actually made the decision to leave because we were all soaking wet to the bone. Of course, we went to the gift shop first and bought like a shit ton of sweets. But then the sun comes out and everything right as we're leaving. But then we realized that it would be like another hour or so anyway before the rides would be dried off. And then it would be close to the park closing, and we were already pretty exhausted, so.
Yeah.
And then we went to the mall.
The rain is bad.
Oh, for Christ's sake. But, yeah. Oh, it's Burns week. Well, when is Burns night? It's Wednesday, is it not?
I don't know.
To celebrate the poem George Burns.
To celebrate the birth of the Scottish King, Burns the First.
What's his first name?
Robert
Burns. Yeah, everyone is like mental over this poet, Robert Burns. Even
in Scotland, I'm not mental.
His poetry
I think he's pretty bad.
That good. He wrote a poem called Ode to a Haggis.
It was actually Ode to a Pudding.
Oh. Well, you have to eat haggis. That's like
he did Ode to a Mouse and things. I think he's the most overrated poet in the entire fucking world.
Yeah, but your dad's gonna be like, fight me.
Yeah, my dad is like that. He gets really upset whenever
Does he really appreciate poetry, or is he just so Scottish that he's like, you cannot insult Robbie Burns? That's my Scottish impression, by the way.
Column B.
My father-in-law doesn't actually sound exactly like that.
He gets very upset if you compare him to William McGonagall.
Who the fuck is that?
Who was the worst poet in the English language, generally recognised. He was an 18th century, sort of a 19th century Scottish guy.
Oh. The only good thing about it was when Mark Steele did an in town, and what are you pointing at? My phone? Oh Jesus!
Oh, I want to find a William McGonagall poem.
But he did a lecture. He has his in town series in the town where Robert Burns is from, or he moved to, or something like that. And he was talking about, like, everyone's like, oh, and in this very electronic store, he wrote Ode to an iPod, so he did. But, yeah, so it's traditional to eat haggis and neeps and tatties, which sounds like it's some kind of porn, but actually it just means mashed turnips and mashed potatoes, which is actually quite good. But so Weatherspoons is doing their Burns Week, so you can get haggis on, the traditional haggis supper. You can get the Highland burger, which is that on a burger, which actually had less calories than the traditional, which is what I got. Or you can just get it as part of any meal.
Would you like to hear a poem by William McGonagall?
Not the whole thing, because it looks pretty long.
I'll give you part of it.
All right.
This is the Tay Bridge Disaster.
Is it like the Tacoma Narrows?
Yeah.
Okay.
But a train was on it. This is McGonagall. This is from McGonagallOnline.org. .uk. The Tay Bridge disaster. Beautiful railway bridge of the Silvery Tay. Alas, I am very sorry to say that 90 lives have been taken away on the last Sabbath day of 1879, which will be remembered for a very long time.
Wait, are you sure that this is a real guy and not several
Yes.
like old-timey poets taking the piss?
No, this is a real guy. It's a bit like the woman who was really rich and wanted to be a singer, but she was
Florence
terrible.
Foster Henderson. They just made a movie.
Yeah, so it's a bit like that.
Somebody in it.
'Twas about 7 o'clock at night, and the wind blew with all its might. The rain came pouring down, and the dark clouds seemed to frown, and the demon of the air seemed to say, I'll blow down the bridge of Tay.
So I will.
So he's generally recognised as the worst professional poet in the history of the English language.
Wow. That's got to be quite an accomplishment. Did you just say, you know what? I am the worst at this.
So
and that's just how it's going to be.
If you ever want to annoy my father, always known as the Pony Man, who said ponies, ponies, ponies. If you ever see him, just tell him that Burns is worse than McGonagall, and he will fucking rip your
I wonder if I should have my
nose
mom
off.
mention it. Because both my father-in-law and my mother have this personality trait where they have to correct you, even if they're not right, because sometimes they're not. And it's really funny to see them both in the same place, politely correcting each other. So my parents are, when I graduate in a few months, oh my god, it's only in a few months, my parents are going to come into Derry, either the week before or the week after, so they are, or they might go down to, I want them to go down to Dublin for a day, go up to the Causeway, maybe go to Belfast for the afternoon, stuff like that.
You don't want them to, there's very little to see here.
There actually is very little to see. I mean, we'll take them out, let's take them to maybe Mama Masala's.
Yeah, there's there's a wall, there's a couple of small museums, that's it.
Foyleside?
That's a shopping centre.
Foyleside is awesome. I work there.
Unless you want to get them to try some ice cream.
Well, Joe Jackson's is quite nice, although my dad's is diabetic, so... Although, depending on what medication they have him on, this one... Did you know he lost a whole bunch of weight?
No.
See, that's the American healthcare system for you. My father has never really been more than 10, 15 pounds overweight his entire life. He was diagnosed with diabetes in his 50s, and so they're retired, my parents are, and so, sometimes they're just like, oh, try this new medication. Oh, wait, that's not a good thing. Try this, there you go. Because that's the American healthcare system for you. And it's about to get a lot more grim. But yeah, the reason I brought up Burns Night was we had haggis tonight.
Well, I didn't. I had ribs.
You could have had it if you wanted.
Yeah, we're having haggis again on Wednesday.
Yeah, we're doing a proper Burns Night on Wednesday, so...
I didn't want to have haggis and then somebody else and then haggis again. Even though I really like haggis.
They only give you a wee bit, too.
Yeah.
They're like, here is exactly one measure of haggis.
Here's one hag.
1 dram. 1 dram of haggis for you and not a penny more. Yeah, and then we were going to get dessert. My father-in-law was like, let's all get dessert. And I was like, no. But I got sticky toffee pudding and burned my tongue on it. So now it hurts.
Robert, burn your tongue.
I did. And you didn't get the abomination I thought you were getting.
No, I did.
No, but it didn't have any jelly in it.
Yeah, it didn't have jelly.
There's a dessert over here called Knickerbocker Glory, and it's a sundae with Jell-O chunks in it. And I don't know, that just really weirds me out. Those are not consistencies. You can have Jell-O and whipped cream, that's grand, But Jell-O bits in ice cream, I don't know what.
Jelly and ice cream is a very common thing in the UK.
Weirds me out.
As
I don't like
children, it's the common birthday party sort of thing along with birthday cake.
Yeah, in Australia they have fairy bread, and that's not good either. So you can't be like, oh.
What's special about fairy bread?
It's basically white bread with butter on it, and then you put hundreds and thousands.
Well, each to their own.
Or sparkling sugar. So it's basically sugar with butter and then sugar on top.
Each to their own.
But yeah, so that's a thing that the internet has picked up on is fairy bread. But, I've adapted to hot custard. I just don't like the idea of ice cream and Jell-O together. I think it's nasty.
I think it's great.
Nasty. It's nasty.
We saw Star Wars stuff too.
Oh yeah, so as probably the entirety of the internet knows, a second after it was announced, there's a new title for the next Star Wars movie is The Last Jedi.
What, there was an old title for it?
Well, just Star Wars, the next one. It's 9, isn't it? 8 or 9?
8.
Yeah, so basically it was just being called Star Wars 8. So now it has a thing.
The Last Jedi. Not to be mistaken for Transformers: The Last Knight.
I think it's a perfectly
Tom
fine
Cruise,
title.
The Last
Like,
Samurai.
no.
I don't like the title. It's better
The
than The
Last
Phantom
Jedi.
Menace, which
Fern Gully,
people
The
who grew
Last
up with-
Jedi.
the people who grew up with Phantom Menace seem to be okay with its name. They don't realize how fucking stupid it sounds. But once who remember when it actually came out and were old enough to realize that's a fucking stupid title, you know, we tend to not view it very kindly. Attack of the Clones, similarly. Revenge of the Sith, fine title.
Yeah.
A New Hope, fine title, although at the time it didn't make much sense. Because
He was playing the long game.
although when it first came out it was Star Wars, A New Hope was added later on. But then Empire Strikes Back, really good title. Return of the Jedi, Revenge of the Jedi.
Yeah.
Good title again. Force Awakens, nonsensical title. It's not bad, it's just apparently there was an awakening. Oh, whoop-de shit. You're not telling us what that fucking means. Ooh. And Last Jedi just sounds like...
Star Wars, the franchise awakens.
You know, someone on Twitter pointed out that technically ever since Yoda died, there's only been one Jedi.
I'm sure. Now, I said this back... Alright, so during the original prequels, like after that ended, I was running a Star Wars D20 tabletop game. And one of the premise of it was I had a player playing a Jedi and another player playing his Padawan. I had a human merchant, a Twi'lek merchant. I had a human noble and I had a human pilot, and they were kind of like this wee mercenary crew that the Jedi hired because he had been given this secret mission that apparently there was a clone had gone AWOL, and there was rumors that he was Force sensitive. So they were way out the fuck on the rim, like just totally, way out there when Order 66 and everything happened. And so the two Jedi decided, you might want to keep a low profile now. So I'm sure that even in new canon, that there were Jedi out there just on hermitages or something like that who are completely missed, completely forgot about, who might have, had they come upon Force sensitive children, raised them as Padawan.
Did you mean to say hermitages?
Like a hermitage. Like when you go off and be a hermit. It's a real word.
I know that there's the Hermitage Museum. I'd never heard of...
No, being on a hermitage, it's a religious thing. It's like you go off and like commune with God.
Fair enough.
Now I'm going to look it up because now I'm worried I used it wrong.
But with... I'm guessing that... I'm thinking similarly.
A hermitage, here we go.
Okay.
A religious retreat.
Okay. There was... I'm very
Here's
sure
the Hermitage Museum, there you go.
I'm very sure you were correct that there was other Jedis who survived, but I don't think there'll be many left at that point. They're keeping themselves to themselves, and so...
Yeah, but then how many of them will be like, look, I
on.
have to do this thing. And if you come upon a child, especially if it's like a street child, and you're like, oh, the Force is strong with this one, be like, come, child, I will feed you for the rest of your life and train you in the ways of the Force.
I'm just thinking the name The Last Jedi portends... I think that it suggests that Luke's not going to survive. Well, apart from everything else, okay, Jedi can be plural, can be singular, so even if he trains Rey as a Jedi, they could be the last Jedi. But I think it suggests that she's going to be the last Jedi.
Or it could be something where true balance comes to the Force, and there can be people who use the Force, but it is the end of the Jedi and the Sith Order. Yeah. Although that would kind of be the end of the series, unless they take this in a really different direction.
I'm just going to get rid of the Jedi, that's perfectly fine. So yeah, they could just... Luke could be the last Jedi, and he refuses to teach her as a Jedi, and so makes her something different, which is also possible. But I do think that it pretends that Luke's gonna not survive 8, and it would have a little bit of a mirror. Yoda died in Return of the Jedi, so maybe Luke will survive until 9. But I don't think he's gonna survive the sequel trilogy.
Sad.
And although now I'm thinking about it, that because of Carrie Fisher's death, I think it's possible that they could possibly rejig the ending with some reshoots to kill Leia off. If you're going to have a dramatic end to a character in Episode 8, rejig it so it's Leia somehow. Because that gets around the problem of trying to recast her or using CGI or trying to write her out between the films, which none of those are good suggestions.
Yeah.
I think there's no good way to handle Carrie Fisher's death in the series. The least worst one, I'd say, would be kill her off dramatically at the end of episode 8. You know, make it, because
Luke would know right away.
The second film always has the darkest ending.
Yeah.
If you kill off Leia, very fucking dark.
I don't know. I was a little teeny kid, and I wanted to be a Jedi Knight when I grew up. I don't know. So the idea that they can't kill Luke Skywalker.
Yeah, they
because
can,
I'm
and
still
they will.
5.
They can and they will.
I know they can and they will.
They already killed off his ability to speak. I mean, it's Mark Hamill, and yet the one thing you don't have him do is say something. They were terrified that he would get drunk with power. The fact that
use the Joker voice
and say every line as the Joker.
Hello, Ray.
No, that's not true. That's impossible.
You sounded like Andy Serkis with a sinus infection.
Awesome.
But yeah, no, I don't know. I think it will be good, and I'm gonna go see it, and it'll be good.
It'll probably be fine. I mean,
like I said, I thought Rogue One would be good, and I enjoyed it. So
Force Awakens was fine, even though it was directed by Satan himself. This one's directed by the guy who did Looper, and Looper was decent, although they should have killed future Hitler as a child.
Always kill Hitler. You guys are realizing this now.
Well, it wasn't Hitler, it was future Hitler.
Yeah, but...
And then episode 9, I can't remember who's directing episode 9. It was the guy who did Jurassic World. Now that one's probably going to be okay, but that's going to be in spite of the director, not because of it, a bit like episode 7. I mean...
I just had a really great idea. You know the people that did Danger 5?
Mm-hmm.
They should do, their next season should be set, in the future in, I don't know, 2045, right?
They did that, actually.
And then, but your Colonel Chesterwood is and remember, always kill Donald Trump.
That was very similar to what they actually did.
Oh.
In the last couple of episodes of season 2, it was set in the future, and Chestbridge was alive because he was killed in season 2,
mm-hmm.
and so it was like a space opera parody crossed with this Power Rangers parody.
I remember, kill Donald Trump. Oh, the Power Rangers. That's something everyone's freaking the fuck out on Twitter.
A bunch of people who are young enough to enjoy Power Rangers first time around are now getting to understand what it was like for those of us who lived through the Michael Bay Transformers films.
Well, the thing is that, I saw Power Rangers because my sister liked to watch it after school because she was young enough to be into it. I was like, well, it's on. I remember when, oh man, quick, give me the remote. Why? I have to put the TV on. Why? Because today's the day we're going to find out who this mysterious Tommy is. He might be the Green Ranger. Okay. I remember that was a big deal. Oh, this new guy Tommy, he's the Green Ranger.
That was the series.
He might be evil.
The Green with Evil, the 5-part epic storyline. I remember Power Rangers.
But yeah, but here's the thing about Power Rangers is that it always, the best thing that came out of Power Rangers was a story that was told to me by this guy that I knew after uni, and he was one of the guys that I LARPed Changeling with, the really adult Changeling game where the games are basically all weekend drinking and eating affairs in character. But he was saying how his grandmother got him a present for his birthday, and she did that grandmother thing of oh, little kids like this, so my high school age child will like it. And it wasn't even a real watch. It wasn't even a real digital watch. It was like a Power Rangers watch, and it played the little song. And he said this. So he was I think he was a freshman in uni, and so he had taken this exam, and he was done really quickly. But you weren't allowed to leave the exam room until the exam time was up. So faced with over an hour of sitting and waiting, he was just so bored. So he set the watch off, and again, and he jumped in and he goes, "Oh no, there's trouble in Angel Grove," and just bolted. And he didn't get in trouble for it, as I recall, but just everyone was what? That's the best thing that came out of Power Rangers for me. No, but it had those standard children's trope things that annoyed me, Rita Repulsa really needed to get her shit together as a villain.
Yeah.
I specifically remember an episode where she was looking through her see Earth everything telescope, and Kimberly, the Pink Ranger, was having a really bad day. One of those, oh, bad hair day, oh, tripped on the thing, oh, spilled coffee on me, oh, lipstick on my teeth, kind of, that kind of thing. And she goes, oh, it looks like Kimberly's having a bad day. It looks like I'll make it even more worse. And so she, conspires to use the putties and the monster to like just create a series of minor annoyances in Kimberly's life. And I remember thinking, hold the phone. Okay, you want to take over the Earth, right? And the key to taking over the Earth is defeating the Power Rangers because they fuck up all your plans. So, if you know who the Power Rangers' secret identities are, why do you not just hire 2 guys named Vinny? Because 1 bullet is all it takes. Like, if you can see them, you could be coordinating. Yes, she's right there. Yes, the high-powered rifle. Yes, that's my Rita Repulsa voice. And then with the monsters, I'm like, oh, like why does she always send the regular power monster first, and then be like, oh no, shit's got real. I better supersize it. Why not send 50 supersized monsters to each world capital? The Power Rangers cannot be everywhere. Oh, it just pissed me the fuck off. And I know. Stop looking for realism, but I was that child, all right.
Yeah, small children at the time ripped that out. I think the Power Rangers movie is amusing simply because whenever I was...
it looks like the Breakfast Club.
When I was an edgy teenager, I came up with this synopsis of how to update the Power Rangers to make it sort of 15 or 18 rated, just as a because it was me.
Oh, like the one with Starbuck in it.
But this was before new Battlestar Galactica came out. But I
no. Remember that there was a fan film done with what's her face who played Starbuck.
Oh yeah,
I can't remember the actress's name.
Katie Sackhoff.
Thank you.
The updated Power Rangers trailer. That was awesome. But a hell of a lot of the ideas I had for how to do a redo of Power Rangers are in this feature film. So I just think it's hilarious that this film apparently has mined 17-year-old me's brain for this film.
Well, the thing that I didn't get was, like, they were supposed to, like, all be friends, but they all had me and Garvin were talking about this at work the other day. They were supposed to all have stereotypes, like, Kimberly was the popular one, and, like, Trini was the smart Asian one, and Billy was the nerd, and Zach was the black guy, and what's his face? Jason was the popular one. But, like, I know that they're supposed to have those teenage tropes, but, like, they all seem to be very attractive 20-somethings who all were friends with each other. Like, you never saw... Okay, well, you did see Billy getting bullied by Bulk and Skull. I guess you saw them all get bullied by Bulk and Skull. But, like, I don't know, it just... Trini looked like she was pretty popular. And she was pretty,
Trini was very popular until she was in The Crow 2. And then everyone was all like, Trini, no.
But you know what I mean? Like, and even, I know, now I've heard that, like, Billy was, like, bullied to shit by the actual, in real life, by the actual production crew for being gay.
That's what he said, yeah.
And that's why, what's his face, the guy that played Zach won't come back.
I believe him, Jason, and Trini, I think it was Trini, left because they were not being paid very well at all for the show, and so they left. They had a contract dispute, and so they left. And that's when they brought in, like, Johnny Young Bosch and Rocky and...
That was after
Aisha,
my time.
I want to say.
Aisha, I want you so... I'm sorry, I can't hear that name without thinking of this song.
But the second trailer for the Power Rangers, it looks more like the Power Rangers. The first one looked like Fan Four Stick, but
like
even more
Breakfast
dour.
Club. That's what it reminded me of.
Breakfast Club
Breakfast Club
crossed with Fan Four Stick, but even more dour. Probably because they didn't have the special effects finished, and probably because they were like, "Oh God, this looks shit." But the second trailer has a bunch more actual Power Ranger stuff. You see Zordon, you see the Zords, you see Alpha, and none of it looks any good. But at least it looks like Power Rangers, although they're
I wonder what the putties will look like. They still look like Doctor Who monsters.
They're like CGI rock monsters, and their masks come away from their faces when they're in the Zords, so you can see them talking. It's like, you fucking... Do you not know what masks are for? They're for a mixture of disguise and defense for the fucking face.
I know a lot of people, a lot of our friends on Twitter are really into the Super Sentai genre, and I think that if I was into the genre, I think that I might feel differently about it. But, like, there's been 5 million squillion different Power Rangers iterations.
That's true.
And, like, I'll see people talking about them or, like, live tweeting, watching an episode. But it just basically boils down to team of teens, have powers, fight evil, kind of have to learn to work together as a team.
Yeah.
Alright.
And then other shows used some of the same tropes as the Sentai things, like Transformers Robots in Disguise. It used a lot of the same formula of the villains are defeated in exactly the same fucking way, and if you have learned a new thing, then that will be what's needed to defeat that one. It's
well, I used
similar.
to have a saying about that when I was little. And, like, in high school, a friend of mine used to, just like, oh, that needs to be a motto. I was like, you know how it was in Saturday morning cartoons? And they were like, what? I'm like, well, it was kind of a letdown every time, because, you know, like, the bad guys are like, well, we didn't win, but we didn't die. Let's try again next week. And I want a t-shirt that says, well, we didn't win, but we didn't die, with, like, a very generic 80s-looking villain on it. If someone would like to make that for me, I'd love you forever. Well, we didn't. That should be the motto. Lesbian Talk. Well, we didn't win, but we didn't die.
Do you ever see the original pilot to Transformers to Power Rangers?
I don't think so.
Because it was a little bit different. This is for you audience as well. There exists
Bulk
a
and
copy
Skull
out
were
there.
neo-Nazis.
No, Bulk and Skull were actually two of a gang of bullies.
Oh, okay.
And their costuming was slightly different, but I believe the actors.
But they
were
have
the
better
same.
theme music?
No, theme music wasn't there at all, I don't think.
Oh, that's good.
And instead of hanging out at the juice bar they all hung out in the early days, I believe they hung out at a bowling alley. And
Bowling is awesome.
Trini was this, I believe she was a slightly plump white woman. White girl.
Hmm.
It's a little bit, it was really curious to watch it because it's basically nearly shot for shot remade in the new version, just a slight script changes and location changes. It's a bit like the original pilot to Buffy the Vampire Slayer, which is like a 20-minute version of the Welcome to the Hellmouth. And like the library set's completely different, and they've got a different Willow. And I thought the original Willow was perfectly fine. She did as good a job as Alison Hannigan did in the first episode.
I like Alison.
So little things like that, where they, the original pilots, which sometimes get leaked, although they're not actually for airing, they're usually there to be all like, this is what the show can be. Give us more episodes. They can be a real fascinating sort of thing of what the show was at that period, because quite often things change.
The first script was.
Yeah.
Well, that's just about almost all the time that we have. Oh, great, we wasted the whole entire episode talking about nothing. Well, that's every episode, really.
There was an original pilot to Doctor Who as well. Where,
oh, yeah, I remember you telling me about this.
Yeah, and I can't remember, does the copy exist?
Oh, yeah,
or
and
not?
the Gilligan's Island a lot of it was completely different. Different people playing stuff. And
Yeah,
there was a different professor or something.
Yeah, if you like the show, it's always interesting to see if there's something like
that. That would be a really good YouTube series.
Mm.
Just examining pilots and stuff.
Pilots that what was
Although
changed
I'm sure someone does that.
Possibly.
Nobody do that while I run off and copyright it. No, I'm just kidding. But there was one thing that I did want to say, which is kind of important. Well, it's kind of important, I guess. But so it's been 3 years since Juario died, since Justin Carmichael took his life, and so I said this on Facebook, and if you're not friends with me on Facebook, I want to say it here, that no matter what is going on in your life, no matter how bad you think that it is, or how deep that you feel your hole is, there are people who are ready to talk to you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. What I'll do is at the end of this video, I'll have a title card with some lifelines for the US, Canada, and the UK. Go on, give them a call. They're people that's all they're there to do is to talk to you. And I volunteer once a week to help victims of crime, and I tell people, it's all right if you feel upset, if you just want to come here or just talk about what happened, that's what we're here for. So if you feel like you can't talk to anyone in your life, reach out to someone like that, reach out to an organization. If there is, somebody local that you trust, I know this sounds really cheesy, but like a counselor or a religious figure or just anybody in your community that you feel comfortable talking to, please do that, because it's just, when you take your life, you leave behind a terrible hole in the world, and those cracks just spread out into people's lives that you're not even thinking about, but they think about you. Do you have anything to add?
Mr. Justin.
Yeah. And this is not a professional medical opinion, because I'm not actually a psychologist yet, but it's good advice anyway. So this has been Lesbian Talk episode 100. I have been been the Omega Geek, and honey, who do you want to have been this week?
Aye. Out of 5.
Ugh. We'll see you all next time.